Hello everyone, good afternoon. Today we are going to show a presentation about refute and rebuttal. I will try to explain the definitions, Tom explain the structure, and Arno will describe how to apply in the debates. A rebuttal is a counter argument or response to the opposing team's argument. Every speaker must need to prepare a rebuttal to make their argument strong enough against the opposing team. It should be logical, well expressed, and passionate attack of their arguments. Here is a small example. One argument is pre-classes videos are a waste of time. Then counter argument will be pre-classes videos are useful as they introduce concept and topic for an upcoming class. You can make your argument stronger by adding facts or figure about pre-classes videos. In rebuttal, the speaker should rebuild their own original arguments. They need to show the audience and judge why their own arguments are strong enough to prove others' team argument weak. To rebut an argument is trying to show the argument is questionable or not supported by the evidence or even the showed evidence is invalid. Next comes refute. Refute is about answering an opponent's arguments. In the debate, when a team gives an argument, then the other team has to show how the presented argument is wrong, and debater can do through refutations. A refutation is an attack against the other team's argument. For example, the affirmative side building up all the arguments. Then the negative team will try to destroy other team arguments by providing how they are wrong and how their own arguments are better. Debaters find themselves doing both refutation and rebuttal in every debate, and the difference between the two concepts is often blurred. Additionally, both refutation and rebuttal share the same basic goal: to respond to the argument. To have an effective debate, you need to be responsive to the arguments and counter arguments of your opponents.
There are lots of different ways that you can structure a rebuttal. The following is a simple guide and can be very helpful to those people that are new to debating and perhaps aren't sure how to structure one. The first thing to know is always to use signposting. Signposting is using phrases like firstly, secondly, another argument, the opposite team stated. These help to signpost to the audience and to the adjudicator where it is that you are up to and where you are introducing a new idea or fact. This second thing to do is to explain why the argument or fact is completely inaccurate. And the third thing possibly is the most important thing is to link it back to your team's argument. It allows for more fluency. This adds more weight to your argument and it makes it seems like your rebuttal are more meaningful. And that you have considered really not only that your team is incorrect, but you have considered how their arguments can actually work for a team. So here is an example for a well-structured advanced rebuttal. The opposite team has stated a number of inaccurate details. Firstly, the first affirmative speaker stated the nuclear power is dangerous and stipulated statistics as about its dangers. However, they did not include the sources of the information. In fact, our research has identified the nuclear power is extremely safe. Research from the University of New York has found out that nuclear power is 80% safer for employees than coal mines. Therefrom, you will continue a little bit more about how safe nuclear power is and if this one of your arguments even better. State your whole argument here. It is important that you include lots of rebuttal, especially if you are the third speaker. Be prepared for them and research in advance.
There are common flaws which you can look for to form a rebuttal. There's false dichotomies. This is where the speaker is trying to falsely divide the debate into two sides, even though there are more alternatives than they state. Assertion. This is when a speaker presents a statement which isn't actually an argument because there is no reason to believe that the statement is invalid. Morally flawed arguments, which are arguments that are, for example, all criminals are given a prison sentence should be given the death penalty instead. Correlation rather than causation. A speaker may suggest a link between two events and suggest one led to the other, but the speaker may not explain how one caused the other event, which can make an argument invalid. Number 5 is failure to deliver promises. Sometimes a speaker might fail to complete a task they promised to deliver. For instance, they may state that they will provide evidence to support a certain claim that they may make, but they may lose track of what they have said and not actually do this. Then straw man arguments. The opposing team introduces an argument and then rebutes it, then may use an extreme example of your proposal, or perhaps they were hoping that they would make this argument. Then a contradiction is an argument that the other team presents may contradict one of their previous arguments. And to compare the conclusion to reality is the last one, which is think what would happen if the other team are suggesting is implementing right now. This usually shows that it's more complicated than they suggested and that the changes can cause secondary problems. Basic refutation. Refutation is the act of responding to an argument. This is to provide a counterclaim, responds directly to the idea of the other side, promotes direct clashes between arguments, answers arguments that are already in play, and essential debating skill. Step 1 is that they say directly refers to an argument, rephrase the argument, and then state point quickly and clearly. Step 2 is but I disagree. State your counter-argument, can be the opposite of the opposite opponent's claim, can attack reasoning or evidence of opponents. Step 3 is the because. This offers reasoning, evidence to enforce your counter-argument, can be independent support, and can be reasoned criticism. Step 4 is therefore. Compare your refutation to opponent's arguments and show that your argument is better. There are also different forms of rebuttal, such as we do not agree with that argument, the basis of that argument is factually untrue, the basis of your argument is logically flawed, your argument does not work in reality, the argument is insignificant, there are more important arguments, the argument is irrelevant, that argument does not mean that your case is proven, that argument contradicts one of your other arguments, and that argument is an assertion, and the example you use to back up your arguments does not work, or is wrong. And now a short clip that explains our topic further.
To talk about this dumbass line that he always does in regards to the Navy and how we got less ships. I've talked about it on the Young Turks. I was hoping President Obama would hit him at some point. So first, here's the line he's used at least half a dozen times.
Our Navy is our Navy is smaller now than any time since 1917. The Navy said they needed 313 ships to carry out their mission. We're now down to 285. We're headed down to the low 200s if we go through with sequestration. That's unacceptable to me.
Really? You think our Navy's weaker than it was in 1917? And the whole time I'm thinking this.
I say it! Say it!
Come on, Obama, say it! And boom, he says it.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military's changed. We have these things called aircraft carriers where planes land on them. We have these ships that go underwater, nuclear submarines. And so the question is not a game of battleship where we're counting ships. It's what are our capabilities?
Washington and suplex and Paul Driver. Oh, forget about it. You were talking about horses and bayonets. Somebody say bayonets. Bayonet! I looked into it. The last official bayonet charge that we had in America, but the military did, obviously, is in 1951 in Korea. You know, right now, Fox is talking about, there's bayonets. Bayonets? Yeah, of course we use bayonets. In fact, let me skip ahead to that. Give me video 22. Sean Hannity here with the weakest sauce that they have served up in a long time on Fox News Channel. Watch this.
Well, U.S. forces horses were ridden by our troops in Afghanistan, number one. And number two, Marines still use bayonets. So maybe somebody at the White House ought to educate the president on how our military actually works.
Well, No. You just got beat down and you don't even realize it, man. So, I mean, we still use bayonets. Yes, I heard somebody use the bayonet the other day. That's not the point, you idiot. Of course our Navy is stronger today than it is in 1917. Yes, we have these things called subs and aircraft carriers, and you're still arguing about whether there's bayonets and horses in the military. And by the way, to be technically accurate, President Obama said we have less bayonets than horses. He didn't say we don't have bayonets.